Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. How are you guys? Final team reveal. And I feel a bit uneasy about it. I don't know. I'm back from camp. I'm absolutely gassed. I tell you what, I'm bugging. Great bunch of students. It was an awesome time, but gee, you're up at 7, you bed at 10 or 11, and you're pretty much on duty the whole time. So I'm stuffed. But who knows? Maybe that's affected some of these last-minute crazy moves. I'm going to reveal my team. I can barely talk at this point, but you'll hate some of it, all right? But I want to put on the record that I've been doing this game for a while. I've been doing this channel for a while, and it's been some time since I've entered the top 1,000. So you got to do something different sometimes. And you know I'm approaching it with a mid-price style this year. And you know I love a bit of a breakout contender. So you'll see a bit of that. I have not felt comfortable with these backline rookies or just the makeup of the backline at all. But do I feel fully at ease with this side? No. I'm a bit uneasy with it. This is as quick as I could get the update out there for you. So sorry if it's a bit tight to round 1 on the Friday night. But got back from Warrnambool about an hour ago. Got home not too long ago. So let's take a look. Backline. We'll go line by line after we just remove this thing here. There you go. You get a cheeky look at some of the mids there. We're going to chuck the C on Sheasel as well this week. Think he'll have a nice outing against the Dogs. He's a lock as far as I'm concerned. I think we all agree on that. Max Holmes. Really excited by his prospects. Some people in the comments talking about disposal efficiency or a quiet practice game. Don't worry about it. People were talking about a quiet practice game for Will Day, getting turned off him. Lucky for you, you got a second chance at him. He scores 150. Mate, lock him in. Don't worry about a pracky. Max Holmes will be fine. He'll be one of the best on ground against the Dockers, and he'll ton up. Roberts, as well, has become quite popular. Looked really good. Nice roll. Really love the ball use. Really do. I think he and Blakey really do complement each other quite well. So, honestly, it was a bit of a no-brainer. I sort of feel like you got to have 2 of Perryman, Roberts, or Short. And I've gone Perryman and Roberts. And obviously, slightly vindicated last night. It's only one game, but Short was a little bit quiet. Perryman scored the 93, but I absolutely loved the role. Thought it was fantastic. Anyone who's like, oh, will Houston coming back affect him? No. You might have missed the role change, but Perryman is in the guts. Houston will be predominantly halfback. Don't stress. But yeah, honestly, I thought he looked really good. Watching the game, felt he scored better than 93. Maybe things started to slow up as the Giants really got on top, but I thought he looked really good. A key pillar in that Pies midfield, which is a big surprise. I did not expect it. And here's where things just get just not sure. So look, Josh Sin was in there earlier today. Like, what's going on? But then I thought, you've got Burton, you've got Evans, you've got Farrell, you've got, I don't know, and then Sin's like half a sub chance. I don't know. Just, he could go well, but I got scared. O'Sullivan, I think, is a lock, particularly after College Asney goes down for 3 weeks. He showed some nice intercepting ability in the match sim against the Hawks. Bit quieter in the Pracky game against the Bombers, but I've got a lot of time for O'Sullivan, and I feel like, I'm duty-bound to have a young cat in there. I really am looking forward to seeing how he goes. Not expecting huge things, but I could see him consistently pumping out a 70-odd. So I think he'll be solid. Zach Reed, it is hard to find too many good rookies down back. You forget how highly rated he was as an intercept defender as a young guy. And now we've sort of seen him play for many years, not always on the park. In fact, more often than not in the rehab room, but he's finally getting a crack at it. The job security is great because his job security is probably the best of all the rookies down back that we have. And that's the way I've approached it. I think he will certainly take some intercept marks. I'm pretty half tempted. I'm feeling like I'll start him tonight against the Hawks. Luke Cleary is in the back line as well. Look, I do feel as if he is a likely type as well. Bit of an interceptor, has done a bit of an apprenticeship in the VFL. Solid numbers. Again, he's not going to rack them up, but Scored a nice 89 in the practice game against Hawthorn. Yes, Bailey Dale wasn't there, but I was really keen to see Dale named and Cleary still in the side. And that was the case. I think you've got Fraser and Dale really rebounding for the Dogs. And then I think Cleary's that type of guy that can just mop up, like take the odd intercept mark and just get involved as a slightly agile medium defender. I mean, he's probably holding out someone like a Buku Kamas at this point. But yeah, you look at that back line, I think Lobb takes a main guy, so does O'Donnell. And I think, Bramble will sweep up a bit. But yeah, look, I'm interested to see. By no means am I insanely confident with that. And then Trainer, I do feel fairly confident with Trainer. Scored a 50. I think we'll see better scores than that. Tigers are up and about. That was insane, wasn't it? I cannot believe Richmond won that. It was an insane game. We were watching it at camp. We had like 6 or 7 students who were really passionate Richmond fans, and bedtime was like 3/4 time for most, and we're like, nah, look, the rest can go to bed, but I feel like you got to stay up and watch it. And they were so stoked, and they were even more stoked when they got to see them win. But so look, I haven't gone Patton. I haven't gone Pryor. A few of those guys. Look, I just think Patton, I don't like his scoring ability. He's probably got better job security. I don't really like his scoring potential. I feel like Cleary's the flip. Better scoring opportunities for Cleary, but job security has to be a bit more iffy than Ben Patton. And then Pryor, I don't mind Pryor. Look, the way I've sort of approached this backline is like, even Riley Bice came in. Like, I don't know, can we trust him? He was good in the pracky, but the way I've approached it is, look, we've got some cash in the bank. You might end up reshuffling some of these guys, but I've racked my brain. This is the best I've come up with. I don't know. I'm not putting it past reshuffling a few of these guys, and maybe we've got to bat 5 deep. I'd probably prefer to have only one rookie on the field. But look, this is the way we have approached it, and it's probably the part I feel most iffy about. But I'll tell you what, you'll lose your shit when you see my flex. But anyway, let's move on. I hate when this thing pops up, but let's move on to the midfield. And this is probably the part of the ground that hasn't changed too much. So Luke Davies-Uniacke is sort of my pod premium midfielder. About 6% of sides. As I've said numerous times in the preseason, he's had enormous second halves of the year, enormous first halves of the year. It either gets interrupted by injury or just a bit of a development, stage in his career, inconsistent young player. I feel like all the parts are there for him to just explode. You'll fall in love with the sidestep. You'll see him break away from packs after winning it on the inside, and you'll see him kick some goals that you're like, geez, this kid's arrived. So I'm locking and loading him. Similar can be said for Will Day. Gee, I was happy about my pod choice. I know it wasn't quite a pod, but he was 15% of sides last time I checked before this game. I don't even want to look now, but I know it's at least 33% last time I looked. He locks himself in, as does Clayton Oliver. Fantastic selection. Looks back to his best. We're not expecting 120s, but 105 plus average looks extremely likely. And I certainly hope he can just get his football and life back on track, which is positive. So I think I think most teams will have Oliver for sure. And Finn Callaghan was a guy that you would have seen feature on a previous team update of mine. Got a bit scared. Felt like, I don't know. But I am going with him because I feel like the combination of Nick Dacos going out. Oh, actually, I didn't talk about James Leake in the back line either. So I've dropped Leake, and feels harsh. But just looking at that Giants team, and just reminded me, because Tom Green comes back. Leake, who did get a few centre bounces, actually, that might be extremely minimised. And I'm just slightly worried that the Giants are quite strong. He only had 11 touches and managed to score 64. He was quite effective in the way he did it, hit the scoreboard. I don't know. When push came to shove, I traded out Leake for Cleary. So I hope that doesn't burn me, but we'll see. And like I said with Callaghan, yes, Tom Green comes back and he'll be the main guy in the guts. But I don't see that affecting Callaghan's time in there. Yes, Callaghan was probably the main man last week. Green now becomes the main man. But the different types of players, Callaghan can hurt you on the outside as well as win it on the inside, which he's certainly shown the ability to do. Probably something he couldn't do for a while, was more outside wing prospect, but he's built his body up. He's always been a big-bodied, tall mid, but he really looks like he's just coming into that prime style of his career, just really looking on top of his game. And look, when Nick Dacos went out, I couldn't say no to just going down to Callaghan and freeing up some cash elsewhere. My thoughts on Dacos, I'm not trading him out and putting him out just to be like, whoa, he's done. Not a good selection at all. No, not at all. It wouldn't shock me if he went 120, 120, 120, 120. But the facts are, 66, that's locked. He's going to cop a pretty heavy drop in price unless he goes 150, 150. Got a buy coming up. That's a fact. And we're now talking about a guy who's had foot problems throughout the preseason and then cramped up early stages of the third quarter. So I'm not being a doomsdayer. I'm not trying to dampen Nick Dacos. He's one of my favourite players to watch. But I think if we look at this logically, which you might argue, Shorty, you're not thinking overly logically with some of these other picks, but I do think we're going to get him cheaper. There'll be an opportunity to get him cheaper, round 5 or 6. And worst case for Dacos owners are, he actually is struggling a touch, comes out and scores 91, cops a Willem Drew tag. Now we're heading to the bye with him looking at a 60,000 plus decrease in price. I don't like this. So just jumping off, not a sinking ship, but just a couple of leaks. And I feel like we'll jump back on once those leaks are fixed up. Will Ashcroft, well, he's my Will Day before your free look at opening round. So I expect Will Ashcroft to have a day like, pun intended, a day like Day had last week. Might not be this weekend, but we'll, in the first month, have a game where we're like, wow, Will Ashcroft, doesn't he just cut you to shreds with his boot? Doesn't he just link up with one handball out of the stoppage and his follow-up is outrageous? So, yeah, I'm huge on him. And some of these guys, I'm like, you can't talk them up all preseason and then not start them. You know, I feel like I've hitched my wagon to some of these guys and you just got to ride it out. And I love watching guys that you've sort of put it on the line and said he'll break out. I love watching those guys. That's the fun of it. You know, anyone can pick a boring ass cookie cutter team and do all right, but you got to have a bit of fun with it. Hugo Garcia is probably one of the more unique guys I have. I think his ownership's still under 20%. And his centre bounce attendance is fantastic at the Saints through the practice games. Yes, Jack Sinclair will come back, which will affect it. And it also may not. They may choose to play him predominantly off half-back. And I still feel like at the price, like if it was 300 plus or around there, yeah, maybe not. But at 240, basically an expensive rookie, like a more expensive first pick, I feel like you got to roll the dice. He's been a real hype player. Any Saints supporter this preseason goes, yeah, Garcia, get around him. He's flying. So I think he'll win it in and under nicely. A crafty left foot kick, and you'll get 5 to 6 tackles most games. So I'm looking forward to that. The Saints need to blood a few new guys through the guts, and I think he'll benefit from that. Then we sort of round out with some rookie locks. So Driscoll lock, getting some nice mid-time. And on a wing. Sardis, same can be said for him. Plenty of time in the guts. Levi Ashcroft, going to start sub. Don't let that worry you too much. I think over the course of the season, he'll still be a really good pick. Interrupted preseason, so maybe just easing him into it, but I still feel like we should start him. Kako, lock, most probably have him in the forward line. And I've got Angus Hasty now. Probably the one I'll be keeping an eye on is Finn O'Sullivan, and he was in my team at the start of the day, and I've just rejigged a couple of things. I'm just feeling like O'Sullivan played. I feel like he'll get stuck on a wing a little bit. He may end up being a really good selection. I wouldn't rule out having O'Sullivan in this team in 2 weeks. All being said, I fell about 5k short of having him in instead of Hasty. And then, honestly, I didn't really like Langford. I didn't really like Nevitt, all these guys. So I thought, far out, maybe just go Cleary, So Angus Hasty, I like him off half-back. I think he's got that class. He's got that pace. Bit of an underrated guy, but again, I'm really liking what Hasty could bring to the table. Yeah, like I've said a couple of times, not ruling out that some of these rookies could shuffle around in the first 2 weeks, but that's why we've got 6 trades to correct. So I feel like, it's not the end of the world if some of these rookies don't go to plan. Boyd's a lock, given his name. DeConing looked fantastic last night. Gee, he can get up there, can't he? Just tap the ball around. Also followed up really well. Had me worried when I saw that bump. I was like, hang on, is he knocked out? What's going on here? Because I wasn't watching insanely close because I was at camp. But when I saw that on the highlights, I was like, oh no, is he off? What's going on? And the clear big risk is Matthew Flynn. So there's a lot of risks in this side. I get it, but The facts are with Flynn, he'll be the number one ruck, and he scored 90 against the best ruckman in the competition playing a full game. So the other facts are he's barely played half a season over the last 3 or 4 years. So you can pick your facts whichever way you like. There's plenty of risk attached to it. If he was 340k, 350k, it's probably not enough to tempt me. But at 260, convincing me that he's clearly the guy over Bailey Williams, has averaged mid-80s in the past. Just give me 5 weeks, Matt. Just give me 5. Just help Shorty out. Just give me 5 weeks, brother, and we'll be okay. You know, if it all goes to shit after 6, whatever. You know, you've hopefully given me a couple of price rises. But, you know, if it goes pear-shaped after 2 weeks and his back seizes up, well, I'll be on here swearing me head off. But that is the game. Risky as you like. Forward line, not going to spend a stack of time on the forward line because we've got a bit of talking to do about the flex, and I feel like the forward line really picks itself. I've gone Horne-Francis and Rankin. I love them both. I feel like they're both representing value. I think to be averaging under 100 at the price that we get them at from last year, I don't know if there'll be too many years over the next 4 or 5 where they're below 100. So I think Horne-Francis is the clear popular pick, but I've pumped up Rankin so much that you've just got to start him. I see him averaging at least 105. Yes, he's got a slight concern on the body. Yes, he gets suspended from time to time. But I'm just feeling like, you know, he's not the first player to have those issues in the early parts of his career. He's had a full preseason. How often do we hear, gee, Rankin's on fire after 6 weeks? What's been happening, coach? Well, it's his best preseason he ever had. Didn't miss a session, rah, rah, rah. First time he's done that in his career. So I feel like he's going to get plenty of time in the guts. And that was my main issue. Does he have the role? Practice game showed me that he did. Plenty of centre bounce attendance. Lock him in. McRae, Smith, Sanders, Daniel, lock. I mean, that's as simple as you like. Most people will do that. If you don't know what you're doing. Hewitt, I've been back and forth on him. Didn't think he was going to make it to the line for round 1, but he has, and therefore I think he's a lock, as is Davidson. He is, well, that practice match was outstanding, so he certainly picks himself. Let's take ourselves to the flex, which might be the loosest pick of the lot. And, you know, just scroll to the comments now. Just get to the comments because you'll be ready to type something up to let Shorty know all about it. It's risky, but like I said, I don't think we're winning 50k by playing it Mr. Safe and Cool. So let's have a look at that. Okay, moving over to the flex. Does anyone want to have a guess? I've been going rookies for a while. Finn O'Sullivan was in there for a bit. And now it is a guy that has had a role change to the back line. He's always been a nice left foot kick. And the opportunity just arises. And he plays for a South Australian club. His name is Jeremy Finlayson. Now, I can almost feel the, oh, Shorty, you've lost the plot, mate. I can almost feel it through the screen. And I'm not going to rebut that. Maybe I have lost the plot. But like I said, at the end of the day, we play SuperCoach for a bit of fun. And the way I get my enjoyment out of it is taking a risk. I've played it safe the last couple of years. I've had a couple of risky picks every now and then, but I've always been like, oh, don't stray too far from the pack. And I haven't gone that well. So let's just chuck the kahunas on the line and go with something risky. He's moved to the back line. He's had a ripper practice game. I've watched that first quarter where he dominated over and over, and they like to have him as an outlet. Houston goes. I think Aaliyah will take the main guy, and you know, Burton might even play a little bit tall. But look, they do have some run and dash, but I think Finlayson just has a nice combination of reads the play well, gets involved, takes the odd kick out, and who knows, maybe he gets the occasional run in the ruck. All right, if he does get flicked to the forward line, it's an absolute disaster. But they've got Lukosius drafted. They've got Georgiadis, and they've got Richards, who's playing really well, and Rioli. I think there's a bit of firepower there. Finlayson, he's been a bit lost. You know, sort of a ruck, sort of a forward. Always been mobile. Started his career as a defender at the Giants. Always read the play well. And I'm just interested to have a look at him. Again, I'm not saying this will be the best pick of all time, but if it goes pear-shaped, we've got 6 trades to fix things up. So while it is a final team reveal, I do still feel as if there is moves to be made and information to be gathered over the first couple of weeks before the prices change, but that may be my loosest selection in many a year. Well, some would argue it was Ruben Jimby, but we'll see. We'll see how we go. But we saw what Rory Lobb did when he went back for the Dogs, and we've seen the forward go back so many times. I mean, it doesn't always equal great scoring, but it often does equal intercepts and a new look for the side. I think Porter looking for that, and yeah, it's risky. Wish me luck. But that is my side, and that is the way we have approached it. Feel free to be as brutal as you like. I anticipate copping a little bit of flack for this, but it's different. You can watch so many content creators on these platforms, and you'll see a lot of very similar teams. And if you watch me long enough, I like to do something a bit different. The old come for the SuperCoach, stay for the stories. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of entertainment on here. Clearly, I do think this is a good side. I am saying, let's take a risk, but I think it will go well. It's riskier than most. Let's hope we can have more reward than most. And hopefully, I guess the idea is we get a bit of an edge on the competition by taking some slightly unique, risky picks and saving cash elsewhere by having some mid-price guys and a Matthew Flynn. Allows us to spread our scoring and price a bit further. So, good luck. Enjoy the footy tonight and over the weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.